obviously I heard Hal and Jack, Rod's on. I heard Lou, I heard Frank. Is Don on? No Don. All right, is Kim on?
I'm on.
Hi, Kim.
Aye.
Is Chris on? He must be stuck on the train. Is Tamara on? Okay. And Jeff, are you on? No Jeff. Okay. Who do we have from Colliers? Matt, are you on?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Yes.
Okay, great. And I assume neither Scott nor Chuck will join you tonight?
Correct.
All right. Who's on from Silver Petroselli? Is Dean on? No Dean. Aris, are you on? Aris. And I assume Bob's not joining. Prue, I see you. Corinne, you're on, right?
Yes, I am.
Hi.
Hi.
And is Max, are you on from Werner? All right, no Max. All right, well, we do have a quorum, so we can get started. Okay. So following protocol, we're not doing the Pledge of Allegiance, but we'll call the meeting to order. Okay, first item of business is just to act on the minutes that from April 14th, the last meeting. Prue, you sent those around. I don't know if anyone had any comments or questions or corrections or changes. Not hearing any? Okay, can I get a motion to accept?
Move to accept. Exactly.
Okay. And a second?
Second, Lou.
Hi, Lou. Thank you. All right. And for minutes, I'm not going to take a roll call, but I'll assume all in favor unless otherwise indicated. Does anyone object or abstain?
I'll
Okay.
abstain because I wasn't there.
Okay. Thank you, Kim. Okay, so the minutes are accepted. Next order of business would be the, I didn't get any communications, so moving on to Colliers. Matt, do you want to take it?
Yeah, sure. Good evening, everybody. So in your packet, or the Dropbox link that was sent out, there was an invoice packet that was sent. The app I can share. But you should have also gotten this in your packet. There are 3 invoices. One in Colliers. One in the reminder.
Hey Matt, let me interrupt for just a second. I'm just going to ask everybody, if you're not speaking, if you can just put your phones on mute so that we could all hear. There's a little bit of noise in the background. Thanks. Okay, go ahead, Matt.
And the last one.
Chris, it's Jeff.
The last one is Harper Hue Excavation. This is the company that did the practice green work. So they pulled up the 2 old practice greens in front of the clubhouse, and then stored them, and then expanded the green that's next to the first tee. This work was just completed, and it was done under Peter Grace.
And that's Zach, right? That's the guy who's been working up there for years and doing all
Correct.
and everything and irrigation. Okay,
That's correct.
That's that.
Okay, he's good.
Great.
Hi, Craig, it's Jeff. Is this meeting on Zoom?
It's not, Jeff. It's on there was the Skype link. We we haven't switched over to Zoom. We've been using Skype.
Oh,
for these
that's okay. I meant Skype actually.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you'll be able to see Matt's screen if you just follow through the link from his Matt's email. What worked for me was his email from Friday.
Wow. Okay, I'll try again. Well, go ahead. I'm listening on Zoom.
Okay.
So are there any questions on invoices?
I make a motion to accept the invoices as presented.
Second.
Okay, so Hal with the motion, Jack with the second. Any other further discussion or comments or questions? Not hearing any. I
got one. This is $40,000 we've budgeted for this, right? This is not. It's coming out of the main budget, right?
This will be coming from contingency.
That's what I was afraid you were going to say. But this is part of the money that's already encumbered in Rod's 50-something%.
Yes. Well,
Hi, Rod.
yes. Hey.
At the moment it is, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and just as a point of clarity, Matt and I talked about this week, and this invoice earlier, and I think Matt reviewed it with the construction subcommittee as well. We did have this in the budget from the beginning. This was an expected expenditure. It's actually lower than I thought it would be. My recollection was that we had budgeted 60, but
No,
regardless,
we
when
actually-
yeah. So my recollection was incorrect, but when we got to the final stage of trying to get the GC on board, we basically shifted everything around and eliminated this line item and pushed this expense into contingency. So it's the geography isn't unfortunate, but it was an expense that we knew that we would incur at some point. So any other further questions or comments or clarifications? Not hearing any? All right, I'll take a roll call because the motion is to approve with a second. So I vote in favor. Hal?
Yeah.
Jack?
Yes.
Okay. Rod?
Yes.
Kim? Kim, are you on mute?
Sorry, I was. I apologize.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Lou
Yes.
and Frank
Yes.
and Jeff.
Yes.
All right, great. Unanimous approval. Okay, that takes us through the invoices. The budget update, Matt, you reviewed that with this construction subcommittee as well, but you want to provide an update there?
Sure. So everything is still tracking in the right place at the moment. As Rod had said or confirmed, we're still in roughly the same place for the contingency. We've encumbered roughly 50% of the contingency at this point. We're continuing to track that closely with the construction subcommittee.
And just to clarify on that point for the group, and Rod, please chime in if I mischaracterize this, but I know Rod has been diligent about making sure that we're tracking where our expenditures are on the contingency in relation to the project completion. And right now our spend out of the contingency is exceeded our project completion rate. However, the biggest risk is getting out of the ground, and we're almost out. We did run into, which I think, I'll digress for a minute. I think Matt will get into this in a little bit, but we did run into oddball things that were uncovered in the parking lot when they started to do the regrading for the parking risk is diminished. With the big item to worry about is if we run over on the timeline, there are general conditions that will have to be paid at that point. That's probably our biggest amount to worry about and our biggest risk. Brad, would you agree with that?
Yeah, for the most part, but as we were discussing yesterday, there are still liabilities once we move the trades into the clubhouse with coordination, things not fitting, things not working, obstructions. You know, somebody will put in a pipe that's where a duct would be, or vice versa, and it has to be reconfigured. So, while a large portion of the money can be, considered in the ground, we're still not out of the woods, and we need to watch our expenditures. So, I agree with the rest of it.
Okay.
So, Rod, the glass is half full or half empty?
Half empty. I'm always.
You and I are always on the same page. Thank you.
All right.
I hate to be the negative Nelly, but it's just my nature.
Yeah, and we're glad to have you, believe me.
Absolutely. Okay, Matt, change orders?
Before I hit you, I just wanted to bring up one thing that maybe Corinne, do we need to have the committee act on a purchase order for that green work as well, or did you confirm whether the invoice approval was adequate?
Just for the minute, I would have to because we were never really contracted with Harper Hue, just because it was done like off the town bid, but really we need to create a deal for that. So if you guys can vote to extend, I guess, or to contract at $40,000, so I can put the deal through, I would just do that.
Corinne, how do we do that without a proposal?
So Gerald had asked Peter Grace for a proposal today, so I'm hoping that he gets one. Honestly, we were like out of the loop on this a little bit. I only just saw this yesterday, so I mean, I think it's all going to work out. But Gerald had requested a proposal from Zach today.
So I make the recommendation that we hold that until we get a proposal.
Why can't we just treat the invoice as a proposal?
Yeah, I guess I was going to ask that question. But.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense.
It's the invoice itself is like a little vague. I think he just wants more backup to it. Maybe like a breakdown of costs, because there's not really any.
Sure.
There's just one lump sum cost of $40,000.
There was a little bit of detail, though. I mean, it may have been a lump sum cost, but he did, itemize the work that he was going to do, albeit handwritten.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, so Gerald spoke with Peter about this today and asked him for a proposal. So that's kind of where things are left off. So it's up to you guys.
So if we approve a PO based on a submittal of the, or can we do it backwards? We can't really do it backwards, right?
You are doing it. Yeah, that's what I mean. We are doing it backwards. That's why I kind of need, like, I would rather you guys approve, I guess, like, the contract first. I don't care, before or after, but I don't have anything in writing saying that we were contracted with Zach.
Corinne, my only concern with that is that we got the Colliers and the Anchor, with the invoices being approved, can we amend the invoice and then have Matt added into the next meeting after we approve the contract? Or the
I don't
proposal?
think you really have to be honest.
We can do
That's what I
that.
thought.
I thought that's what we discussed earlier today, Corinne, so I guess I'm a little thrown off. I thought we were going to make potentially two approvals, one per PO, one for the invoices, and that was if the PO was needed. Otherwise, the invoice would carry.
So,
Otherwise, I wouldn't have suggested all of it.
hey, can we revisit Jack's suggestion to treat this invoice as a purchase order
Well,
or proposal?
I think we can. It doesn't even say invoice. It just tells you what he's gonna do and for how much.
Right, but Gerald's not gonna accept it. Corinne, is that correct? Gerald won't accept it?
Is that's the, yeah, that's kind of what I got missed. Like, granted, we were doing this via email today because he was working from home, but he pretty much, asked Peter for a proposal. Because
Right, but
we did the 15th or 16th green last year, and it was done in a proposal format first, before the work was done, and now the work is already completed, and we have this invoice in front of us, so he just wanted more backup to it.
And that's fine. Hold on. That's fine, but I mean, the proposal is going to effectively look, to Jack's point, it's going to look virtually identical to this invoice. Other than saying invoice number, it's going to say proposal. It's going to have the same itemized work to be done. It's going to have the same quote. So I think if Peter asks Harper Hue to provide additional information, it can be a supplement for backup purposes, but I still think that we can treat this as a proposal and act on it tonight.
Well, only if Gerald's gonna accept it. If Gerald's not gonna accept it, then it won't matter.
Can't act down an invoice and a proposal in one. It's just improper.
I agree.
All right, well, I don't think...
I don't see what difference it makes. What difference does it make?
It makes a difference to the town. I know.
What?
No, we're just gonna amend the original invoice, and then we'll take this invoice up after the proposal comes in, add it to the next invoice in 2 weeks. It's simple.
Wait a minute. We just voted unanimously to approve this.
I know, but obviously we were lacking information that we needed.
No, we're not.
Well, the other option, wait a minute. The other option is we don't approve a PL and it doesn't get paid anyway.
The green's already there.
Corinne, do we have to approve for Gerald the proposal before we can, or can we just use this and after we approve it, then you can pay Colliers and you can pay the first part of the invoice and we can pay the second part of the invoice after approval of proposal, or do we have to take it off the invoice?
Yeah. I mean,
What does
like,
Gerald want?
I literally have one email from him, and it says to Peter, like, more or less, the bid that he used doesn't specifically include putty green, so he asked for additional information.
Right, but the additional information is what's on it. I agree with Jack on this one.
I know you do, but it doesn't matter.
Corinne, may I make a suggestion that the committee could approve a purchase order to Harper Hue for $40,000, and then the backup follows. That would be a proposal. I mean, we know the dollar value, and there have been other circumstances where the committee has made approvals for a certain dollar amount for a specific company purchase order. So can that be the motion?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I need you guys to vote to expend the 40 grand, aka I need a contract with Zach. And then Gerald, if Gerald wants additional information, I'm just gonna have him go through Peter, or I'll go through Peter. But as far as like this goes, I need permission to create a PO in turn to pay this invoice.
Okay, so then I'm gonna, let's just make the motion then. It's a simple thing. I'm gonna make the motion to approve up to and no more than, to make a purchase order for Harper Hue Excavation for the creation of the new practice green to to not exceed $40,000.
I like it.
This way all the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed, Charles happy, and Corinne's covered.
Works for
I
me.
agree.
I
All
need
right.
a second.
Who seconded? I'm sorry.
Nobody yet.
Oh, sorry.
Lou will second it.
Okay. Thank you, Lou. Any further discussion?
No, I'm,
Well,
That'll be the day.
Jack, this does provide that this is consistent. Hal's motion is
never mind.
consistent.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
vote yes, never mind. It's okay.
All right, I'll do the roll call vote. I vote yes. Hal? Okay, you're still on audio. Your audio off, but I see you nodding, so I think that it's yes.
Not now, I can't, we need
Yes,
to get out
it's
of
on.
Skype. We really need to get out of Skype. Yes.
All right. Thanks, Jack.
Yeah.
Robin?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Kim?
Yes.
Thank you. Lou?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes. Yes.
And Jeff? Thank you.
Yes.
All right, unanimous. Thank you, everybody. I think it's more of a procedural issue, but at least to Hal's point, Corinne is covered. So, Corinne, if you need any detail or anything like that, or if you need to sign anything, let me know.
Well, how does it look? Did he do a nice job?
You did do a very nice job.
You did a very nice job.
Very
Yeah,
good.
it's almost. I think square footage wise, it's roughly 2.5 times the size of what we had before. So that it's a square footage in total for the 3 that we had before is a virtual wash. So that's really good.
Yeah, perfect. Great.
All right, Matt, back to you. Change orders.
all right. We have 3 change requests tonight. They will look familiar. Before I get into the specifics, since last building committee meeting, I've had back and forth with Werner as well as with construction subcommittee and Greg, and Werner has agreed that moving forward, all general condition, so synonymous with the project manager and superintendent time that they had previously been putting on each change request, they will be putting a percentage that's based on calculation off of their schedule or balance for the project. So you'll see that from here on out, they will be putting a percentage of 5.625% for their GCs on each change request. So change request number 9 is revision 2 is one that came up last time, but this is essentially for the expedited shipping for the exhaust fans. The total on this one is $834.08.
And Matt, on this one, you're right. We did see this, at least a version of this before, as you just described. The 5.625% replaces the man hours that they had included before. Do you recall the dollar amount that they were requesting before that compares to the 834?
Off the top of my head, I want to say it was about $1,700-$1,800 total.
So we cut the bill in half, roughly. Okay.
Yeah, that's something.
I like it.
Sure.
Okay.
I'll make
All right.
a
Well, I
motion.
think that addresses a lot of the concerns that we had that hung us up last time. Does anyone have any comments or questions about this change order and the changes that occurred to it since we considered it last time? All right.
No, but I will point out that this does not ask for additional time, because that is built into that 5.625% as general conditions. So this does not extend the time on the contract. So
Correct. Can I get a motion to accept or
I make the motion
reject?
to accept ordinance, what number is this?
Number 9.
Nine.
Change order number 9 for $834.08.
Great. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Kim. Okay, any other questions, comments before we take a vote? Not hearing any. I vote to approve. Hal?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Thank you. Rod?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Thank you. Lou?
Yes.
Thanks, Frank?
Yes.
Great. And Jeff?
Yes.
Great. Thank you. All right, next change order.
Change order number 12. It's for unstable materials at the clubhouse. We talked about this previously as well. And this too has the same provision of the 5.5%. And the current change request is for $1,683.54.
Okay. So,
Matt, what was the original cost? Or what was the original?
I don't remember off the top of my head. We were definitely over 2,000.
Okay. Thanks.
Yep.
okay. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept warrants, change order number 12 for $1,683.34.
Great. Can I get a second?
Sorry, that was Rod.
Yep, I got you.
Hal seconds.
Thanks, Al. Any other comments, questions before we go to a vote? Not hearing any. I vote to approve. Hal?
Yes.
Thanks, Jack.
Yes.
Rod?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Lou?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Great, and Jeff?
Yes.
Great, thanks. Unanimous. Next change order.
Next one is change request. This was a little, sure we got to open the agenda last time. This was an existing and that was located on site. They requested to crush it up and abandon it in place. So this was the work to crush it up and cover it. You'll see the change from last time, although, like I said, I don't think we quite got to this one, is the 5.65%. The total on this change request is $576.28.
So, just to clarify on this one, because I don't recall a detailed discussion about it, this is the septic tank that they discovered near the road in the area of the driveway that they expanded into closer to the 5th green, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
And it was an abandoned septic tank from who knows when, and they just crushed it and buried over it, so it's still there.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Any other questions, or can I get a motion?
I'll make a
I'll
motion.
make a motion to accept ordinance change order number 13 for $576.28.
Great.
I'll second.
Al second. Great. Thank you. Any other comments or questions before we go to a vote?
Just one.
Okay.
Do we have to report this, Matt, to GEEP?
No, I don't believe so.
I didn't think so either, but did somebody check, make sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
What's that? I thought you said, can somebody check? Yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Not hearing any additional questions. I vote to approve. Hal? other change orders, Matt?
Nope, that's all for tonight.
Okay. And so, do you want me to sign those and get those back to you?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Is Matt aware of any others that are coming?
There are some that are under review, yes.
Any other significant money?
No.
Fine, good.
Good. Okay. Let's see. 2-week project look ahead.
So the biggest stuff happening over the next, I would say, this week and next week are really preparations for the golf course to open up. At the moment, we're still tracking for a May 8th opening. As of today, Werner and Grasso, the site subcontractor, had not finished prepping the milling and 200 cubic yards of 3/4 inch stone. 2 inches quarter inch stone. But they have committed to still maintaining the completion date of next Monday, pending weather. And then DPW and SoCon are slated to come and start their work on Monday as one is completing. So they should be done pending weather on the end of the day, the 6th. They would target to do temporary parking lots striping on the 6th, or the 7th, and it would be okay to drive on the 7th as well. I would say, just with the weather aspect of that, is it has been quite wet. That's why they hadn't gotten to where they are today, or as far as they were hoping to. And there has been a little bit of concern expressed from DPW about the wet weather coming and just making sure that the entirety of the lot and the driveway has a chance to dry enough prior to putting down the binder course. They would not advise from a maintenance standpoint to put the binder course down prior to an adequate dry out of the base part. So if you look at the weather, we've got quite a few wet days coming. So this certainly is a little bit in the wind at the moment, but we'll continue to track it on a daily basis as weather comes. From a car farm fit out standpoint, we did have a final inspection today with the building official and fire marshal there. It went pretty well. The building official and fire marshal have requested a few items, nothing major, mostly on the electrical side of things, and the electrical contractor will be there tomorrow to close out all of those items. And they've also requested a few more smoke detectors in the cart storage area, just battery operated. So we will have those to the site to be installed tomorrow as well. They've also requested a couple of just paper exit signs to go above the mantlers in the cart storage area as well. So those will be brought on site just to be stapled up there. Otherwise, it went pretty well. So Werner is targeting a follow-up final inspection with the building official for Thursday. And we're moving forward with things for the moment. So today, Jim Alexander was on site to bring his transaction counter and started to that into the bag storage. The movers were also there to unpack the shipping container and just move things into bag storage space. So those both move forward. Town IT will be there to start to install the wireless network and the computers and printers tomorrow. Bag storage. finding signage. We've got one quote, little high, and two others that I had reached out to. One said that they weren't interested, and another one hasn't answered yet. But Hal's reaching out to some of his guys trying to find us. So, we're going to be targeting those signs to show up next Thursday to put them. Wednesday. Friday. Let's see what else. Portable toilets. Corinne and purchasing have been working diligently on trying to renew the contract with the Royal Flush. As soon as that's finalized, we'll schedule, order and schedule the delivery of the portable toilets and accommodation.
Matt, have we seen a cost on that?
On the portable toilets, not the contract's got to get signed.
Well, shouldn't we see the cost before the contract signed?
No, this is like a town contract.
Okay, all right.
And
So, are we going to see a cost before they arrive on site?
I can certainly circulate it prior to the group prior to scheduling them to show up. My understanding from the last committee meeting was I should continue to move forward with it, but I will distribute that information.
And Matt, just to clarify, I think my recollection from when we discussed this last, we were looking at effectively three alternatives. One was kind of a high-end trailer with, like toilets on the trailer with running water and electricity, yada yada. That was expensive. We decided not to go that route. The other was a couple of, I forget if it was 2 or 3 porta potties. I think it was 2 regular and 1 ADA, and then a hand washing station. You had pricing for that, but we hit pause on that because the town contract with Royal Flush would have been at a lower price than what we were looking at. So,
Correct.
You remember correctly.
The town contract. I'm sorry, Joe.
I said he remembered correctly.
That is
thanks,
correct.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's the way I remember it too, but we should see a cost before we commit.
Agree.
Now, one other thing, Matt, and I sorry to interrupt, but the building inspector's okay with I assume the building inspector's okay with the pros starting to move in?
Yeah, he showed up a little bit later than expected, and the pro had already started to move things in, and he did not object to that. He doesn't want us operating out of it, obviously, but we can start to prepare. And I think the biggest piece of that was the only concern in the bag storage space itself was that he wanted the outlets in that room to be swapped to GFCI outlets. So a very, very small, minor thing that would be done in a matter of 30 minutes tomorrow. The last piece on this is we were originally scheduled for the golf carts to be delivered, to be brought into the cart barn tomorrow morning. And speaking with Jim, and after today's conversation with the building official, we've advised that it's probably best to hold off a couple more days until that follow-up final inspection occurs. Filling the cart storage space with a bunch of carts is a little bit more substantial, likely in the eyes of the building official, than bringing in a transaction count. So there were other items that were specific to the cart storage.
And the logistics on that, Matt, if they're delivering on Thursday or Friday, in the parking, Grasso's trying to get the finishing touches on the parking lot, and the driveway, I imagine. Are they delivering to the maintenance shed and driving down the hill, or blocking the road, or what's the plan?
I talked to Jim about that, and I think we're going to kind of see when the day is that makes sense after to follow a final inspection. But Jim said that if they need to, they're prepared to be able to drop them off at the maintenance shed and drive them down.
Okay. All right. Well, my thought is, my only thought on that regard is, while I appreciate that we don't need them before a week from Friday, so that, May 8th, I do think that the sooner we get them back, the sooner we stop paying for storage. So.
Absolutely. The hope would be that it would be either Friday or Monday.
Okay. Okay. Well, that covers both bullets on the agenda. 2-week project look ahead, along with the remaining steps in advance of 2020 golf operations commencement. So that's good. What's the timing on the slab getting poured for the clubhouse? Is that in the next week or so? Because I know that they did a lot of work to get the underground mechanicals done.
Yeah, they were spreading stone to go underneath the slab today. So I would imagine that they would be planning to pour that next week.
And
Matt,
again, just kind of...
I spoke with Gene. Sorry, Greg, it's Bob. I spoke with Gene today, and he was hoping to do it early next week for the slab. Just wondering about coordination with all the activity in the driveway this coming Friday. So he was still trying to figure out coordination, but he's hoping to still do it early next week or sometime next week. And they're by the end of today, about 4:15, they were at about 50% finished, if not a little more, with spreading the gravel. So he's moving pretty quick with that.
Yeah, Bob, thanks for chiming in there. I'm just trying to, in my head, looking at the same thing. If we've got a truck with a crane arm pump and cement trucks being delivered at the same time that the parking lot is being graded, I'm not sure those two things kind of coincide well.
Hey, Craig.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. I need to correct Greg. It's not cement. It's concrete.
Sorry, cement is the powder, concrete's the mix. You're right. My bad. I learned that when I was very young. Actually, I made a mistake. My mother actually worked for Atlantic Cement Company for a couple of decades, so I did know that. That was my mistake.
Well, you should know better.
I told she would have ripped me a new one if she heard me say that.
What's her number?
Oh, no. But yeah, for those who didn't recognize the voice, Bob Washburn is from Silver Petroselli, and he is on site often, or at least now doing virtual inspections. But he's the liaison between Silver and Werner, during the construction phase. So, Bob, thanks for joining.
My pleasure. Thank you. Sorry it's a little late. It wouldn't accept the ID number for some reason.
Glad you were able to get here. Okay.
Yep, me too.
Anything else, Matt, on the 2-week look ahead?
No. I mean, they're moving forward. There are 2 pieces of steel on site and erected. So that's a start in the right direction.
That's good.
I think they're trying to chug along.
Great. Any questions for Matt before we move on? Okay, not hearing any. I don't know if Dean joined late. Is Dean on? No?
No, I think he had a conflict, so I'm here covering for him.
All right. Bob, is there anything you want to share with the committee, or if not, we can just go around and see if there are any questions for you representing Silver.
No, just generally I speak with Gene, with Werner, 2 or 3 times each day, so line of communications are going well, and they're making steady progress.
That's great.
Bob, I have a question. This is Rod Van Dusen. Can you give us an update on the progress of the shop drawings, the steel shop drawings? where we stand and how we got to this point?
Yeah, sure. They're currently in Werner's hands and their subcontractors. They had one last RFI that followed out yesterday after our conference call, which Hortons and our office answered and got back to them quickly. So there's no open items currently. So it's a matter of the fabricator understanding what he needs to do and getting materials ready and sending one last shop drawing for our final approval and review.
How did you mark those shop drawings? Or how did your sub-consultant mark those shop drawings?
You mean like make corrections noted?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did they say amend and resubmit, make corrections as noted?
Yeah, there's make corrections noted. We've also given them some additional dimensional information. We've been available to them, meaning Silver Petrocelli as well as Hortons and Associates, consistently for them. So I think we've been very helpful with answering any kind of questions and giving them the time that they need just to discuss anything from angles of the truss work to connection details. So I think they've got everything they could possibly need at this point, and we've always turned that information around for them quickly. So they should have everything they need. We should start seeing the next phase of this.
Okay. And just for the record, I'm not accusing Silver Petrocelli or your sub-consultant of delaying things by any stretch of the imagination. I know you've put out and gone above and beyond. When can we expect steel on site?
That's something we're going to have Werner answer.
I'm not holding you to this, but in your professional opinion, when do you think we'll have steel on site?
Just given the amount of questions and difficulty that they've been having, I'm not sure. I'd imagine you'll see it in a few weeks, if not sooner. It depends on if the fabricator's been talking to the detailer and if they're kind of getting out ahead of fabricating even more than we know if they are or not. So if they're already moving to some degree, we might see it sooner than later. But honestly, I couldn't give you a fair answer on that. That's really out of my control. But I mean, if he's been chipping along with it as he should have been, we should get some components out there sooner. The whole delivery should not have been delayed with a series of questions. Even the shop drawings could have been worked on incrementally rather than keep asking and resubmitting full packages. So it depends on how he's doing things in the background. I honestly don't know how he's assembling things.
Yeah. So best case scenario, we're 2 to 3 weeks. Worst case, we're a month or a little bit more.
Yes, but that's only a guess on my part.
No,
yes.
Not holding you to that at all.
Yes, right. No, I think that's fair. I think that's a fair time frame, yes.
Okay. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Okay. All right. Well, that'll take us through the silver section. So on to the liaisons and subgroups. Rod, did you have anything more that you wanted to just share with the larger committee from your discussions with Matt, or you feel like you're good?
No, we've gone over the majority of the stuff we went over yesterday. We just have to watch the budgets, guys and gals. Other than that, I think we're good.
Any questions for Rod? Okay. Is anyone from the Golf Commission on? Anyone from Parks and Rec? Anyone from the RTM? All right, I can say that I've been in regular communication with both Keith Varian, the Golf Commission Chair, and with Anthony Calabrese at Parks and Rec to keep them apprised of and coordinated with our opening. So there's a regular dialogue there. The other thing is Anthony did circulate to me a draft RFP for a concessionaire for the clubhouse once it's complete. It's pretty basic, but it gets the job done. I think I don't have too many comments from what he provided, but I do think that Nat, he's going to lean on you if he hasn't already to get information from Silver Petroselli on detailed stuff like square footage for each of the various rooms and the outdoor patio.
Purchasing and very reached out to me. Bob and I worked together to give them the first round of information. They just asked a couple more questions late yesterday that we'll be working on that as well.
Right. Yeah, okay. Thank you. And then Bob, just for your notes for the next time you speak to Dean, I think they're probably going to want to ask for some renderings, some pretty looking renderings that they can include. I know that we got some at an early stage from Dean, and I don't know if the Reddit software is that you guys use is easy to generate additional renderings, but we may ask you guys to provide some additional perspectives and renderings to give a potential concessionaire a virtual view of what this will look like.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay.
And that's important to, well, I've got a current RFI, for example, that's asking about an electrical panel that gets attached to kitchen equipment. Warner, rightfully so, is hesitant to install this and then pour concrete on it. And I'm hesitant to tell them where to put it because none of us really know the equipment. So my only way of answering that current RFI is to tell Warner to install per construction documents.
Yep.
But, you know, if your concessionaire wants to call me and talk over an RFI, I'm waiting for him tomorrow.
Yeah, and the reality is they're not going to go out to bid for quite a while, and the bid process is not going to be quick. And the selection after that is not. It's going to be that much slower. So we need to move forward based on the construction.
Right. I understand. It's just I'd hate to see a conduit sticking in the middle of the new concrete floor and then have to trench, for example, and get it out of the walking path because nobody really knows where the equipment's going to be. So I'm trying to be sensitive to that. So your room is beautiful, but you might get some of those things once you get the equipment finally decided on and located in the building.
Yeah. But by the other side of that coin is if the restaurant and kitchen consultant that Silver engaged for the original design is worth their salt, this kind of will be in exactly the right place.
Yes, that's a better answer than mine. I'll take it.
Sounds good. All right. Is there anyone from the public on that would like to make a comment? We got to start inviting Ralph to these things. I missed the public comment. Okay. Anything else for anybody, or shall we adjourn?
I think we're going to adjourn.
All right. Motion to. Great. Who is that, Rod?
Yep. Sorry.
That's fine. Jack, give me
Second.
Thank you.
Jack, I thought you'd be first.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good couple of weeks. And I know there's a lot that's going to continue to happen over the next week to 10 days. So similar to the update that I provided last week, I'll try and do something similar next week as we get closer to turning the keys over to the golf operations to open. All right. Thanks, everybody.
It was great to get your note.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good
All
night.
right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Stay safe.